Can you hear me clearly? Let me check something if I can be heard. If you're joining my life, you're welcome. So when it comes to knowing if you're ovulating or not as a lady, there is so many things you should look out for. Firstly, we really need to understand our cycle. If you're a lady, for you to know if you're ovulating or not, you need to understand your cycle. There is no way that you want to do it. In fact, there is this lady that met me. Was it last year? She came to me and she said that she has been trying to conceive for some time now, and she doesn't. She was trying for children, for baby, and she wasn't getting pregnant. So the first question I asked her, "What is your cycle length?" She doesn't know. So how do you know if you're ovulating and you don't know your cycle length? There's no way you can do it. So you have to know your cycle length first before you know to calculate when you're ovulating. So what I did was that okay, I explained how to calculate everything, but she wasn't getting it at all. Okay, it's okay. Know what to do. Download an app. All this period app, ovulation app will help you to track your ovulation. All you have to do is to put in your the date of your menstrual cycle, the first date of your menstrual cycle there, and you update the app every month. You understand? When you update the app every month, the app will calculate it itself and tell you when is your fertile window period. So I told her to do that, even gave her the name of the app to go online and search. And she said that they say that she should pay money for it. So what I did was like, okay, you know what? Tell me when you're the first day you are seeing your period. So I take note of it. The first day she saw her period, I take note of it. The second month, I took note of it. The third month, I took note of it. I did that for 3 consecutive months. So I was able to know her cycle length when I calculated it that way. So The third month, I told her, please, what you do, meet your husband at period this particular period meet your husband at this particular period, because she was trying to conceive for some months now and she wasn't getting it. So I told her, okay, since you don't know your cycle, like what you do for me now, and I've tried explaining it to you and you can't get it, anytime you see your period, just drop the date on my WhatsApp. She did that first month, she did that second month, she did that third month. So the third month I told her, okay, this is your cycle length, meet your husband so day. Funny enough, this year, I think this year she came and told me that she had gotten pregnant, and I was so happy for her. So the problem is not just about some issues that people have, is not they don't know when they are ovulating. And if you don't know when you're ovulating, you might miss out chances of you conceiving, because there's no way you will conceive without you knowing if you're ovulating or not. And one thing about this thing is timing, because your ovulation does not stay days, can can last for 12 to 24 hours after the egg is released. So you have to time that particular hour when that egg is released for conception to occur, for fertilization to occur. So one of the ways to check if you're ovulating or not, particularly if you are those type that you don't have symptoms, there are some persons when they're ovulating, they will experience some kind of pains. It's not everybody that do experience such kind of pains. You that is not experiencing such kind of pain doesn't mean that you are not ovulating. It's not everyone that experiences such kind of pains. I can tell you for sure that bring 50 women now and ask them how many of you do experience pains during ovulation, and you can find out that few, some don't even experience it. So because of you are not experiencing pain during ovulation does not mean that you are not ovulating. You have to get that right. And for the fact that you are not seeing cervical mucus during your ovulation period also does not mean that you are not ovulating. Just that that cervical mucus is also one of the signs of fertile window period. It's also one of the signs that your body is ovulating, because that cervical mucus helps the sperm to swim through, makes it easier to swim through so that it can meet the egg and fertilization can happen. You understand? So some persons they don't see their cervical mucus on their pints, but it can still be there on down their cervix area, then their vagina area. It can still be there, just that it's not enough to be visible. You understand? But that does not mean that you don't have cervical mucus. You understand? So if maybe you don't experience pain during your ovulation period, you don't see cervical mucus, you don't have this basal temperature, like your body changes during ovulation, and you really want to know if you're ovulating or not, there's three major ways to know if you're ovulating or not, and one of them is using ovulation test kits. For you to use ovulation test kits, you don't just test any day of your cycle. No, you get a wrong answer, because that LH, that's a luteinizing hormone, LH surges up 24 hours to 35 hours before your egg will be released, and before ovulation occurs. You understand? So LH surges up 24 hours to 35 hours before ovulation happens. So for you to get that positive, that two positive line, because the line must be boldly positive, not partially positive. It must be boldly positive, not like faint positive and um, the one that is more positive. No, it must be boldly positive. For you to get such kind of this thing, you have to calculate your cycle. Now you need to test during your fertile window period. Now, if you have your 28 cycle, like your cycle is 28, you know that your fertile window period starts from your day 10 of your cycle to day 15th. Day 14th is your ovulation day. But you need to understand that day 14 being your ovulation day does not automatically mean that you must ovulate that day, that you must ovulate day 14. Your body may delay. Some persons, their ovulation delays 5 days, 4 days, or thereabout, depending on how it is. You understand? But the way it is that it is most common that day 14th is when your body ovulates more. So if you have 28-day cycle, your fertile window period starts from day 10. So if you want to know if you're ovulating and you want to test if you're ovulating using ovulation test kits, you start checking from at least from that day 10, you check day 10, day 12, day 11, day 13. 13 is the day before day 14. You check if you're ovulating. Now, LH, that's a luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone needs to rise up 24 hours to 35 hours before ovulation occurs, because this hormone helps to trigger ovulation. So if you have 25-day cycle, your fertile window period starts from day 7 to day 12. Your ovulation day is day 11. So it start from that period to be testing if you're ovulating or not using ovulation test kit. I think ovulation test kit, you can get it from 1,000, 1,005. Particularly if you are trying to conceive, this is how to track your ovulation day. You must know your cycle. So this lady came to me, was it last year, and she has been trying to conceive. She has this ovarian cyst, and her own is much like the size. So she was asking me if she can take any supplement. I said, for now, don't take any supplement, because if you have something like fibroid, you have something like cyst, some of this fertility medication will just help it to grow more. For you to take any medication, just meet your doctor. Don't just see anything online and you take. So I asked this lady, do you know your cycle? She said no, she doesn't know her cycle. So the actual problem I noticed that she's trying to conceive was that, not that maybe the ovarian cyst was actually the issue for her, it's because she doesn't know when she's ovulating. Because if you don't know your cycle, how will you know when you're ovulating? So I explained everything to her. She wasn't getting it. Like, I told her how to calculate everything. She wasn't getting it at all. I said, okay, you know what? I'll hold your hand and walk you through all this. I told her, and you know what? The first day you see your period, just let me know. Let me write down the date. The first day she saw her period, that was last year. She told me, I wrote it down. The next month she saw her period again. The second month she told me, I wrote it down. Thank you for joining my life. Then the third month also she saw her period. She told me, I wrote it down. So I calculated it, that 3 cycles consecutive times, that's 3 months. So I was able to know her cycle length. So on the third day, I told her, okay, your cycle length is like this. Start meeting your husband from now, like from this date till now. You understand? I was surprised. Was this if I'm not mistaken, last month she came to me and she was thanking me that she has conceived. You understand? That she's currently pregnant. So I was happy for her. So in her own issue, you are from Nigeria. Yes, I'm from Nigeria. I'm from Nigeria. So her own issue wasn't actually that she wasn't able to conceive. Her own issue was that she doesn't know when she's ovulating. And this is an issue for some women. You understand? They don't really understand their body. They don't really understand their cycle. They don't know when they're ovulating. They don't know their hormones. You should understand this. Lots of love from Pakistan. Thank you. Thank you. Hope you have subscribed to my new channel. Have you hit the plus sign? Yeah, I make educational health content. So some of the issues they are facing is that maybe some of them don't really know when they are ovulating. That is why they find it difficult to conceive. Why some might not be actually ovulating. You understand? So one of the ways to know if you're ovulating, apart from the physical signs your body gives you, like cervical mucus, because not all ladies do see that cervical mucus. Although cervical mucus is one of the signs of fertile window period that your body is actually approaching ovulation, but it's not every lady that sees, and it's not everybody that produce cervical mucus in high amounts. You understand? So one of the ways to know if you're ovulating is, one, using this ovulation test kits, and you must do it at the accurate time. You can't just use your kits any time of the month. You will not get the accurate time, because AH, that's the surge of AH, the rise of AH must rise 24 hours to 35 hours before ovulation happens. And another way to know if you're ovulating or not is through progesterone tests. Yes, you heard me. And progesterone test is, you should take it to do the test after ovulation, because progesterone normally rise 7 days after ovulation. This is because progesterone helps to maintain this pregnancy. If progesterone does not rise, your uterus will shed, and that will result to menstruation, because for menstruation to happen, your estrogen, your progesterone level must be low. Your estrogen, your progesterone level must be low for menstruation to happen. You understand what I'm saying? So if progesterone level is high, it's another way to check if your body has ovulated. It's another way like to check your physiological processes if your body has ovulated. That is why people that do take postinone 2, remember postinone 2, that levonorgestrel is a synthetic form of the hormone progesterone. Now, what this drug does is that it delays ovulation. You take it before ovulation happens. So it's in a way of telling your body that, hold on, we have already ovulated. In fact, don't ovulate yet, or maybe don't ovulate yet. You understand? It's a way of your telling your body, don't ovulate yet. Don't ovulate, or maybe telling the body that ovulation has already happened. So that is what postinone 2 does to our body. That is what postinone 2 does to our body. It's a synthetic form of the hormone progesterone. So progesterone level is not supposed to be high before ovulation. It's supposed to be, thank you so much. You say this is educational. Thank you so much. Progesterone level is not supposed to be high before ovulation. It's supposed to be high after ovulation, because if progesterone level is high before ovulation, it can make it can delay ovulation, or make that ovulation not to happen. This is what happens when you take what they call it, postinone 2. You understand? Postinone 2 delays ovulation. In some cases, it makes ovulation not to happen at all. You understand? So that is why they say it's taken before ovulation, not when ovulation happens. Because progesterone is supposed to stay low before ovulation happens, not after ovulation. So progesterone is supposed to rise after ovulation. So if you want to know if you are ovulating, another way to know if you're ovulating is your progesterone level, and it should be checked 7 days after ovulation, because it's like checking the physiological function, what has already happened in your body. You understand? Because when progesterone level rises, what it does is that it prevents the uterus from contracting, can postinone 2 terminate early pregnancy. Actually, to be honest with you, postinone 2 is not designed to terminate any pregnancy. No, it doesn't work that way. Postinone 2 major work is to delay ovulation. Postinone 2 is not an abortion pill. It's a synthetic form of the hormone progesterone. In fact, another name for postinone 2 is levonorgestrel. You understand? Levonorgestrel is a synthetic form of the hormone progesterone. So its main function is to delay ovulation and not to cause an abortion. So if you take these drugs after ovulation, or after fertilization has occurred, or after implantation has occurred, it might not be effective. It might not even work. Understand? So it must be taken before ovulation, not after ovulation. And there's a reason for it. There's a reason for it. This is how our body works. Now, let me explain. In human, we have 4 cycles. We have the menstrual phase, we have the follicular phase, we have the ovulation phase, we have the luteal phase. Now, for the menstrual phase is when you see your menstrual your period. Because some persons, when you talk about menstrual cycle, they only believe that menstrual cycle is only when you see your period. No, your menstrual cycle comprises of 4 phases: your menstrual phase, your follicular phase, your ovulation phase, and your luteal phase. Now, during your menstrual phase, that's when your period comes out. Your progesterone, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Insight, I can see that. During your menstrual phase, that's when your period comes out. It can last 3 days, it can last 7 days, depending on how your body, how your system is. Your menstrual cycle, during your menstrual cycle, your estrogen, your progesterone level is low. If estrogen and progesterone level is low, your uterus will not shed. If progesterone level is very, very high during your menstruation phase, menstruation will not occur. You know why? Because progesterone prevents the shedding of the uterus. This is what helps to keep early pregnancy. Now, that is why some ladies, if they have low progesterone when they are pregnant, early pregnancy, it can cause miscarriage. I don't know if you understand what I'm explaining. Some ladies, if they have low progesterone during early pregnancy, it can cause miscarriage. This is because progesterone, high progesterone, helps to maintain that pregnancy. So during menstruation, when you start menstruating, your progesterone, your estrogen level is supposed to be low so that it can shed out those blood. Now, your follicular phase starts from your day 1 of your cycle. That's from day 1, the day you see your period, to your day 14th. So as the uterus shades, the follicular phase, no wonder. Yeah, yes. So as your uterus shades, now you enter the follicular phase. Your FSH, that's follicle stimulating hormone, your brain releases this follicle stimulating hormone, which stimulates your follicles to prepare to mature, to release mature egg. You understand? To release mature egg. During this period, that follicles that is supposed to release mature egg, they start producing estrogen. They start producing estrogen. Now, the rise of estrogen is what triggers the rise of LH, that's luteinizing hormone. Remember, luteinizing hormone is what, the surge of luteinizing hormone is what triggers ovulation. So when the surge of LH rises, it triggers ovulation. Now, this is follicular and this is ovulation phase. So your ovulation happens in your day 14 of your cycle, and it can last, after the egg is released, it can last 12 to 24 hours. That is why you should know when you're ovulating. Your ovulation date does not wait for you all day, does not wait for you for days. No. If you miss that particular day of the month, you might not conceive that month. That's just how it works. So if you miss that 12 to 24 hours when your egg is released, it might not, the any sex you are having during that month is just for foreplay, just for pleasure. It's not for conception. You understand? You have to meet that period that your egg is released. So before your ovulation, your progesterone level is low. After ovulation, when your egg is released, now that follicles that releases that egg becomes empty. That follicles turn to what we call the corpus luteum. That's your ovary. That's your ovaries. The corpus luteum is what produces this progesterone. That is why I said another way to know if you're ovulating is to check your progesterone level 7 days after your ovulation. If your progesterone level is high, then you're ovulating. You understand? Then you're ovulating, your body is indirectly telling you, yes, this occurrence, this ovulation has occurred. The reason why it's like that is because when ovulation occurs, that empty follicles turn to corpus luteum, and that corpus luteum is what produces progesterone. That progesterone that is produced it is what will support that early pregnancy. Now, if fertilization occurs, that corpus luteum keeps producing progesterone to support that early pregnancy. Then HCG, that's human chorionic gonadotropin, that's this pregnancy hormone, tells the corpus luteum, please keep on producing progesterone. So that early pregnancy Is that progesterone that keeps that pregnancy, because one, progesterone helps to prevent uterus from shedding. It prevents cramping. That is why some women, when they go to hospitals and maybe they are experiencing some kind of cramp in early pregnancy and the thing is causing spotting, if they check, some of them, if they check their progesterone is low, some doctors will give them this progesterone medication to just to help to support the pregnancy so that the baby will not go out. Because one thing progesterone does is that it helps to support this early pregnancy before placenta takes over, because your placenta takes over from 12 weeks. Because from 12 weeks is when your placenta also produces its own progesterone, because progesterone is produced in two places: your ovaries in early pregnancy and your placenta. You understand? So why am I taking my time to explain all this? I'm taking my time to explain all this for you to understand how these things work, for you to know the three major ways to check your ovulation. One is by using ovulation test kit. Two is by checking your progesterone level, and this should be done after your ovulation, because your progesterone level is supposed to be high 7 days after ovulation, which I explained the reason for it. Then, if pregnancy does not occur, if pregnancy does not occur, that couple's liton that start producing progesterone breaks down and dies off. You understand? So progesterone level drops again. When progesterone level drops again, then menstruation occurs. So another way to know if you're ovulating, the most accurate way to know if you're ovulating or not is by follicular tracking. And this one is done with ultrasound. It's not something you do at home. You go to a lab. I think how much is here in Nigeria, depending on the lab, less than 10,000 naira. I don't know. So they will start from your follicular phase, not actually the day you are supposed to ovulate. They will start from your follicular phase to track your follicles to know when it's about releasing egg. They might tell you to come back so day, to come back so day. Then when they see that there's a ruptured egg, then they will tell you to meet your spouse so time. So that's the best way to know if you're ovulating or not. You understand? Your progesterone, follicular tracking, and using your ovulation test kits. So the reason why taking position 2 helps to prevent pregnancy is because it delays ovulation. It's a way, or it's a synthetic form of the hormone progesterone. You understand? It's a synthetic form of the hormone progesterone. So when you take it before ovulation, you are indirectly signaling to your brain that, hey, the body has already ovulated, or maybe ovulation should hold on. I don't know if you understand. The body has already ovulated, because progesterone level is not supposed to rise before ovulation. It's supposed to rise after ovulation to support pregnancy. So if you take position 2 before ovulation, before your actual ovulation, you are indirectly telling your brain that ovulation has already happened, and this will delay your ovulation. You understand? So this is how this drugs works. And position 2 is not something you take every time you have sex. It's not done that way now. Why will you be taking position 2 every time you have sex? You have intercourse? No. You shouldn't be abusing these drugs anytime you have intercourse. That is wrong. You only take these drugs once in a cycle. Once in a cycle. Once in a cycle. Not anytime you have unprotected sex, you start taking position 2. You are harming yourself. You should take it once in a cycle, and the once in a cycle you should take it is before your ovulation date, like before your ovulation, not when you're already ovulated, not when fertilization has already occurred. You take it before ovulation. So you check your fertile window period, that period that you know that ovulation is about to happen. That is when you should take this position to just to delay ovulation. You understand? Just to delay ovulation. You take it before ovulation, not after ovulation. So it's not something you take every time, like anytime you have sex, you take position to. No, it doesn't work that way. If you have any question, you can drop it in the comment below. I will really appreciate it. Someone is writing something. It says, I love your confidence. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And someone is asking a question, says, can position 2 cause abortion? Wow, that's a nice one. Can position 2 cause abortion? Mm, this drugs is originally designed to delay ovulation and not to cause abortion. Position 2 is originally designed to delay ovulation and not to cause abortion. So it might not cause abortion. You understand? It might not cause abortion. It's not designed to work that way. The reason why I explained this earlier on, the reason why I say that position 2 is designed to delay ovulation because of it's a synthetic form of the hormone progesterone. If you understand how progesterone works in our body, then you understand how these drugs works. You understand? Progesterone is not supposed to rise before ovulation. Progesterone is supposed to rise after ovulation. And there's a reason for it. Like I explained earlier, if you are just joining my life, I explained earlier. We have 4 phases in our menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle does not only end when you see your period. No, we have 4 phases in our menstrual cycle. Now, number 1 phase is the day you see your period. That's your menstruation period. Like the first day you see your period, that's the first day of your menstrual cycle. Now, for menstruation to occur, estrogen level must be low, progesterone level must be low. There's a reason for it, because if progesterone level is high, estrogen level is high, the uterus might not shed, because progesterone prevent the uterus from shedding. The lining of the uterus from shedding, it helps to support early pregnancy. It helps to prevent cramping. So progesterone level and estrogen level must be low for menstruation to occur. Now your follicular phase, remember I said we have menstrual phase, we have follicular phase, we have ovulation phase, we have the luteal phase. Now for your follicular phase starts from day 1 of your cycle till day 14th. Sorry, day 1 of your cycle to day 13th. So your body prepares to release egg, to release mature egg. So your brain releases this FSH, which stimulates your follicles to mature. When the follicles are getting mature, they produce estrogen. The rise of that estrogen, that surge of estrogen, is what triggers the rise of LH, that's luteinizing hormone. For ovulation to occur, LH must rise. That is why you see that ovulation test kit, they wrote it LH. You understand? The hormone they are checking there is LH. It must rise, and it must be positive. Like the positive must be very bold. And LH can rise 24 hours to 35 hours before ovulation occurs. So progesterone must be low before ovulation happens. So when ovulation happens, when the egg is released, that follicles that releases that egg, turn to a structure to what we call the corpus luteum. Now that corpus luteum is what produces progesterone. I'm answering your question because you asked me a question, can position 2 cause abortion? I'm taking my time to explain how our menstrual cycle works, so that you get a clear understanding on how this position 2 works, because position 2 is a synthetic form of the hormone progesterone, because another name for position 2 is levonorgestrel. You understand? It's levonorgestrel. It's a synthetic form of the hormone progesterone. So progesterone level must be low before ovulation. So after the egg is released, that follicle that releases that egg turn to the corpus luteum. That corpus luteum is what starts producing progesterone. So progesterone level rises 7 days after ovulation, and there's a reason for it because progesterone prevents the lining of the uterus to shed. It prevents cramping. It helps to support early pregnancy. So now let's go back to the question you asked. Can postinor 2 cause abortion? Remember, this just is designed to delay ovulation. Like I said, progesterone level is supposed to be low before ovulation. So when you take postinor 2, which is a synthetic form of the hormone progesterone, you're indirectly increasing that hormone before ovulation. So when that hormone level is high before ovulation, you are indirectly telling your brain that ovulation has already happened. I don't know if you understand my explanation. You are indirectly telling your brain that, see, ovulation has already happened. Either hold on or maybe let ovulation not happen. Because when you take postinor 2 before your ovulation, you are increasing your progesterone level. And progesterone level is not supposed to be high before ovulation, because if it's high before ovulation, ovulation will not happen, or ovulation will be delayed. So when that happens, you're indirectly telling your brain that, please, ovulation has happened, or maybe delay ovulation. So I don't know if I've answered your question. So postinor 2 is not originally designed for abortion. It might not even work. It's designed to prevent pregnancy by delaying ovulation. So I don't know if I've answered your question. If you have any other question, you can drop it in the comment section. Thank you. Someone asked me a question if position two please can position two cause abortion. So position two is not designed to cause abortion because this is not an abortion medication. This is an emergency contraceptive pills that prevent pregnancy. And the way it works is by delaying ovulation. The way it delays ovulation is that it does it by hormones. You need to understand that position 2 is a synthetic form of the hormone progesterone. And we all know that progesterone is a hormone that helps to support early pregnancy. I explained earlier in my live video, for those of you joining me now, I explained earlier that for menstruation to occur, estrogen and progesterone level must be low. Because if estrogen and progesterone level is not low, the uterus will not shed. Because progesterone helps to prevent the uterus from shedding. It helps to prevent cramping. It helps to support early pregnancy. So for menstruation to occur, that estrogen and progesterone level must be low because we have four phases: the menstrual phase, the follicular phase, the ovulation phase, and the luteal phase. Now, during menstruation, progesterone level and estrogen is low. Then your follicular phase starts from the first day of your cycle till your day 13th. So from the first day of your cycle, your brain releases this FSH, that's follicle stimulating hormones, to stimulate your ovaries to mature. So in the process of your ovaries maturing, estrogen rises. This is after menstruation. Your estrogen level rises. You understand? When your estrogen level rises, because estrogen level must rise before LH, that's your luteinizing hormone. The surge of luteinizing hormones is what triggers ovulation. That's luteinizing hormone will rise either 24 hours or 35 hours before ovulation happens. I need to take note that your progesterone level is supposed to be low before ovulation happens, and it's supposed to rise 7 days after ovulation. There's a reason for this, which I will explain in this video, in this live. The reason why it's like that, because after ovulation happens, when your egg is released, because the egg can live 12 to 24 hours after it's released, you understand? When your egg is released, that follicles that releases that egg becomes a structure what we call the corpus luteum. Now the corpus luteum start producing progesterone. If fertilization occur, this progesterone is what sustains early pregnancy. It thickens the line of the uterus to not to shade, because if progesterone is high, that line of the uterus will not shade, because if it shades, pregnancy will not hold now. That is why ladies that do have low progesterone, they find it difficult to maintain pregnancy, early pregnancy, because implantation will be difficult. So back to the question this person asked. Now, when you take position 2 before ovulation, you are indirectly rising your progesterone level. And when you rise your progesterone level before ovulation, you are indirectly telling your brain that ovulation has already happened. I don't know if you understand me. You are indirectly telling your brain that, see, ovulation has already happened. The body doesn't need it for now. That is why the ovulation will be delayed, because progesterone level is not supposed to rise before ovulation. It's supposed to rise after ovulation, when the egg is released, because that follicles that releases that egg is what produces progesterone. That follicles turns to corpus luteum and produce progesterone. So when you take position 2 before your ovulation, you are indirectly signaling your brain, please, ovulation has already happened. There's no need. That is the concept of all these things. So position 2 is a hormonal medication. It works by delaying hormone progesterone, so it's not actually for abortion. So if you take this medication after conception, when fertilization has occurred, implantation has occurred, it might not do anything, because it's not designed to work that way. It is designed to delay ovulation, and there's a reason for it. Like I explained before, your progesterone level is supposed to be low before ovulation. So if you take progesterone, so you're indirectly rising ovulation, and this would, I mean, you're indirectly rising your progesterone level, and this would delay ovulation because your brain is indirectly signaling your brain, we don't need it. Like ovulation has already happened. There's no need. Or maybe just delay. You understand? Just delay. Because after ovulation, that follicle that releases that egg turns to corpus luteum and start producing progesterone. Progesterone is what sustains early pregnancy. Without progesterone, implantation will not, the baby will not implant properly because that place will shade. So it helps to prevent shading of the uterus. It helps to prevent cramping. That's why some women that experiences multiple miscarriages, like they experience recurrent miscarriages, and maybe they find out that their progesterone level is low, one of the drugs they give them to support their early pregnancy is progesterone, because if they don't do that, no progesterone will make their uterus to shed. It will make them to cramp. It's like your body indirectly wanting to menstruate, not able to hold a pregnancy. So for those of you that take protein 2, what this just does, it delays ovulation by rising your progesterone level, indirectly telling your brain that ovulation has happened. There's no need. You understand? There's no need. That is why this drugs is not something you take every time of the month. You don't take it every time of the month. It's not done that way. It's taken once in a cycle, and it should be taken before ovulation, not every, just once in a cycle. So you should know the timing. It's not that anytime you have unprotected, taking postulon 2 is not done that way. So women that understand this works by it. That's why ignorance is not good. You see some persons, on some young girls, anytime they have unprotected sex, they take it, they can take 3 tablets, they can take postulon 2 today, they can take another one tomorrow. Anytime they have unprotected intercourse, they can take another one the next day. It's not done that way. Now why will you be taking all this just like that? So if you understand the way these drugs work, you won't take it like that. You take it once in a cycle just to prevent ovulation. You understand? So some persons that knows how to calculate their cycle, they don't even need all these contraceptive pills, honestly. To be honest with you, if you know how to calculate your cycle very well, you don't need contraceptive pills. That's just it. Unless you don't know your body system. If you understand your body system very well, you calculate yourself. Your fertile window period, you know your fertile window period. Like if you have a cycle of 28 days, your fertile window period should start from day 10 to day 15th. You understand? Your day 14 is your ovulation day. Although it's not always accurate like that too. You understand? It's not always accurate, but at least it is 80% accurate like that. So you should know your fertile window period, and you should avoid sex that period. If you really know how to calculate all these things, you don't really need to be taking all these contraceptive pills. You should avoid sex that fertile window period, because for pregnancy to occur, your body must release egg. It must ovulate. So if ovulation does not happen, how will you get pregnant? It's not possible now. And because some person believe that they can get pregnant any time of the month. Any time of the month they have intercourse, pregnancy can occur. It's not like that, sis. It's not like that. It doesn't work that way. It's not every intercourse you have in a month that will lead to pregnancy. No. You should know all these things so that you stop taking medication upon medication, pumping yourself with contraceptive pills that will later disrupt your hormone. Because if you are taking this postulon 2 every time you are taking postulon 2, don't you know that you are disrupting your hormone? It can cause hormonal imbalance now. I'm not saying that postulon 2 will cause permanent damage, because when you stop, your body will still go back to normal. You understand? But when you abuse something, it can have an impact to your body now. Imagine taking these drugs every week. Every week you have one protect, you are just damaging your hormones, because you are indirectly telling your body that you have already ovulated, there's no need for ovulation. That is how it delays ovulation. because when that progesterone level rises before ovulation, your brain will not release, will not, because you know all these things works with the brain, your brain connecting with your ovaries, hormone release and the rest. So if progesterone level rises before ovulation, you're indirectly telling your body that you're already ovulated, because the reason why it's like this, I explained this earlier. The reason why it's like this, when you ovulate, that follicle that led to that ovulation turns to couple lesion, and that couple lesion is what start producing progesterone. Because in early pregnancy, listen up, in early pregnancy, progesterone is what sustain the pregnancy till placenta develop, because placenta start developing from 12 weeks. So your body will constantly produce progesterone, constantly produce progesterone. That's why your progesterone level rises high after ovulation, 7 days after ovulation. So that is another way to know if you're ovulating. Another way to check if you're ovulating is to check your progesterone level. This is one of the secrets. Is to check your progesterone level after ovulation, particularly 7 days after ovulation. This is one of the ways to know if you're ovulating. Not just the cervical mucus, because not everybody that sees cervical mucus. If you're not seeing cervical mucus, does not mean you're not ovulating. Some persons, they don't see that mucus, but they are ovulating. And it's not everyone that experiences pain, because some ladies, when they are about to ovulate, they experience some kind of pain as if it's cramp on their pelvic region. It's not all women that experiences that. So another way to know if you're ovulating is to check your progesterone level 7 days after ovulation, because it's supposed to rise. That corpus luteum, that follicles that releases that egg, start producing progesterone. So it's supposed to rise. The reason why it's supposed to rise, because the body is preparing you for possible pregnancy. So if pregnancy does not occur, that corpus luteum dies off. It breaks down and dies off, and progesterone level falls down. So if progesterone level falls down, menstrual cycle occurs. You understand? Your period start again. I don't know if I'm explaining. Your period start again. So that is how it works. Sorry. So your menstrual cycle starts again when the corpus luteum breaks down and the progesterone level drop, because progesterone will prevent the uterus from shedding. So taking this position two every time, no, 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 no. You only take it once in a cycle, only once in a cycle. I don't know if I'm answering your question. Oh God. So taking position two every time of the month